Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry, and it's winter. It's not actually so bad out here today. I was feeling the cold a little bit earlier when I was out here. I went through the van and checked all my spotters, made sure everything was filled up and ready to go, and did some cleaning up, and I flushed out the hose on my upholstery machine, which needs to be done now and then. Just take care of things. It's very important, especially well, for anybody, I guess, to make sure that everything is in tip-top operating condition when you're going to go out and do work for another week. So I had a pile of pads that I washed and put them all back in the van, make sure everything is in tip-top condition. Topped up all my, as I said, topped up my spotters, and just getting organized, being organized, and making sure things are clean. You want to make sure you're looking good and you're ready to face each day, each week. And you can see I've got 3 machines sitting here, and I just thought I'd just talk a little bit about the I'm going to talk about the advantages or disadvantages of these machines that are sitting here, and just address the thing is that especially for you guys that are maybe new into the business, one of the things that you often hear is that if you really want to be properly carpet cleaning with a VLM system, you've got to go to an orbital system. And this is one of the more popular ones. This is of course, this is the Orbot spray board. They came out about 10 years or so ago. It's a very good machine for sure. And what you'll hear is that, and I've had the people comment on my channel saying that using a Rotary machine, that's old technology and you can't properly clean carpet, blah, blah, blah. And I'd like to just address that statement and just let you know that I disagree. Now, the thing is that as far as what happened is about 10 or so years ago, I think I bought this about maybe 10, 11 years ago, something like that. I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, about 10 years ago. I think I bought it in 2011. And when I bought it, of course, I was using Rotary at the time. Been using Rotary all along. So for 15 years already, I had been using Rotary every single day. 15 years? No, 10 years before that. Let's see, when did I start? 95 is when I started Oxy-Dry. And when the orbital machines started to be getting more and more talked about, and just one little shout out right now, we can thank John Gurkink, really, of Trinity, for really putting OP into our hands. Really, he was really the one that promoted this using of the OP machines, and of course he originally had that machine he called the old blue. I remember watching some of his first videos, and he would say how with his original machine, which was a wheels up machine, would look similar to this one, except with without the wheels on the back riding on the ground like this does, which is similar in style to this, and I'll get to that one in a minute. But anyway, so John Gurkink was the one that really started off the OP machines and getting them into our hands and all. And I remember him saying how when he would start up his old blue, he'd have to give it a little kick to get it going, because I guess it was only maybe a 1/2 or 3/4 horse motor, and it would kind of bog initially. Kind of funny. But so John Gurkink really is the one we need to appreciate for putting OP into our hands. And then he worked with, I think initially he actually worked with Clark Lancaster. I'm not positive about that. I think he initially made the old blue And then he ended up working with Clark Lancaster with Orbitech, which this is an Orbitech. And then Orbitech was making John's machines for a while, and then now, of course, they went their separate ways. And Trinity, a few years back, he got his patents for his multiple speed machine. But anyway, back to the OP. So when I purchased this Orbot right here about 10 years ago, I assumed that I was going to be moving away from using Rotary, because the word out there was the OP was a better machine. It was going to clean better and faster, and it was, Rotary was old school. Don't want to stay with the old-fashioned rotaries, because you can't clean properly with them, because it only cleans one side of the fiber. Actually, that's not true. See, look at my little diagram there. They could do clean 360. Yeah, I did that video some time ago where I talked about this. And anyway. And if I was to be cleaning only with a normal pad, say like a pad like that, under either of these machines, and that's all I cleaned with, that machine would clean better than that machine. That is true. However, what changed is about 10 years ago, another thing came along, and that is thanks to Rick Galinas, who owns Excellent Supply. And Rick Galinas introduced us to these. And this, of course, is the fiber pad. And it turns out that once the fiber pads came on the scene, for me, that was a real eye-opening moment. And I realized that the fiber pad would, what I would typically do when I run into a carpet that was quite soiled, is I would usually run either a brush under my machine, or I did actually have the Bonnet brush combo. I guess Bonnet Pro sells a version of it called the Dirt Napper. So I had actually was using those for a while. But when I got the fiber pad, I started using the fiber pad and then following it up with an absorbent pad. And at the time, I was actually primarily using 2-ways to finish. That's a 2-way right there, by the way. But I found that the fiber pad followed by the 2-way was getting phenomenal results, and it was certainly better than just using just the single pad. And in fact, what I've discovered is when I got my OP machine and I used 2-ways, but I also have the these are the what do they call those? Oh, I can't remember what they call them again. Those are the ones from Orbot. Yeah. Is the name on here? Super Zorbs. There you go. The Super Zorbs. And they're a really good pad. And they work really well under the Orbot. They were designed for it. So I got my new Orbot, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go and clean carpets with a OP, and away I go. And so I took my Rotary out of my van and put the Orbot in the van, and away I went and I started cleaning with it. And I began to realize that it wasn't performing as well as I expected that it would. There was a couple of things. First of all, I find the machine is just a little bit too heavy. It's I think it's 107 pounds, whereas my machine's actually about 75 or 80 pounds. And that's enough of a difference that you actually do notice it, particularly going up and down steps. This machine I found is just a little bit heavier than I was comfortable with, especially when I've got a couple of gallons in there, which normally I would have. You know, you go into a house, and especially if a decent sized house, I usually have a couple of gallons in my Rotary, so my machine then is just over 100 pounds, or actually a little under 100 pounds, even with 2 gallons, whereas this machine was 120 pounds or so with the water in there. And I would find it very, quite stressful pulling it up the steps, even going downstairs with that much weight in it. You can really feel it. You've got to be very careful. You really feel that that weight pulling you when you're going down the steps. The other thing I discovered was that because of the wheels down arrangement of this machine, you mostly are going to be going forward and back and then pivoting and forward and back and pivoting. Whereas with the rotary, it's always just a constant 360-degree movement that you can do without any effort at all. There's no effort. So now I've been using the rotary for 15 years already, so I'm very used to it. Was very used to it. But I found that the Orbot was just awkward and clumsy, and also the arrangement with the lever or the catch for the handle, having to stop and pull that out and then lift the handle to tip the machine back to pull a pad off, or even to maneuver around the bed and things like that. I just found it awkward. And also this handle is so long that in crampy bedrooms it's just awkward. Now you can go upright with it, that's true, but it's still just, I just find it clumsy. And I don't like this arrangement with the handle this way. I'd rather have the handle like a normal machine like that. This feels right to me. This feels unnatural. But, another thing is I really dislike this cartridge system. I find this really clumsy and awkward. I would much rather have a tank that I can just pour some solution in there when I want to. This cartridge idea, I just don't like this at all. And this, in fact, in this machine, I actually had to cut this, and there's actually heat shrink there to keep it, hold it there, because I literally couldn't get right from the get-go, I couldn't get these jugs in here. I just had to force them in there. Like, it just wasn't right. That's a minor, obviously a slight engineering mistake maybe they made there, but on my machine. Anyway, that's just, those are those things that would kind of, I found it just wasn't a comfortable machine to use. But the most important thing is, of course, the argument is, well, you can clean better with the OP machines over a rotary. And I can't tell you how many times I had this machine in the house, I'm cleaning away, there's some stains and things like that. Of course, that's what we get a lot. And I go over it with the, treat the stain and go over it with the OP, and it doesn't come out. And then you slow down, you go back and forth, and you're starting to work the stain a little bit. Maybe you tip the machine a little bit to get the edge of the drive plate, pushing the pad in there a little bit more. And that's when I saw the, that's when I would see that this machine absolutely will tip bloom. And that's certainly a very bad thing. We don't want to be doing that. I have never tip bloom with my rotary. It just doesn't happen. I know people say that you can, or that rotaries do. I've been at it for 26 years now, and I've yet to do it. So, I did carry this machine in my van for a while. It was my primary machine. I used it primarily. Remember one time I was doing an area rug, and I wasn't actually using this machine. I was using the smaller version of this machine, which I actually have, which has got the same orbit, same orbit, identical orbit. And I remember doing a wool area rug, and the amount of yarn that the orbital motion was pulling out of that area rug was just frightening. It was just it was a really type of a wool that does shed a lot, but it would look like I was shearing that carpet. I quickly went and grabbed my vacuum and vacuumed it off, and fortunately the customer never saw that. But I mean, it was really quite shocking. And what was interesting is, about a year later, I was back in the house with my rotary, and I cleaned this rug again, and there was virtually no. Oh, by the way, it hadn't actually damaged the rug. It looked like it did, but it didn't. When I vacuumed it off, it looked okay. Scary, but okay. But a year later, I went back to that same job, cleaned it with my rotary. There was a little bit of fiber loose fiber that came out, not very much at all, and it just did fine. And that was a bit of a scary scenario. So I definitely have tip loomed with this machine, and there's so that's a concern. I do find that when I run into a stain with the rotary, when I go with the fiber pad first, and by the way, I just had to show you this. Now I'm using the Hogshair more than anything, and my goodness, those were a definite, very clear improvement to the whole process. That's a step above. That really, the Hogshair, if you're using a rotary and you haven't yet tried the Hogshair, it's night and day. I mean, the white pads are great. Even I know a lot of people like the red ones. There's a red one right there. I actually don't use the red ones. I find they're okay. They're not really much better than a white one, I don't think. But the Hogshair, oh my goodness me, that is night and day. Boy, does that ever work. And so that's what I primarily use now. So my normal procedure, after I vacuum the carpet, of course, is I go over the carpet first with Hogshair, and I follow up with a Ironman. Do I have any Ironman? Yeah, there's some Ironman right here. Here's the Ironman. And that's my normal procedure. And although you might think, well, that would take longer than just throwing a pad underneath the Orbot and running over the carpet because you're doing 2 steps, the truth is that it actually, speed-wise, that was the other thing. In most cases, I will clean faster with my rotary than the Orbot in a home. Now, when it comes to commercial, that's another story, because the wide open areas, like hallways and condos and things like that, I will prefer to use my OP machines. And I know some of you have already seen this, but just so you know, this is not my preferred OP machine. I'll show you my workhorse. This is probably about a 12-year-old now, I guess. This is an Orbotech. This is one of the first wheels down machines. I think it's, quite frankly, the best one going. They're cheap, reliable, simple, effective, and that's my preferred OP machine for commercial. It sits there and I pull it out, and I do quite a few condos through the year, and that's my main machine. I don't really like using the Orbot. I do have weights for the Orbot, in case you're wondering. And when I'm doing commercial, I usually have the weights on there. They're off, obviously, right now. But the other thing was that I found when I got the Orbot that the balance on this machine is just, it's really got a light head weight. It's really quite, you can really notice the difference between this and the Orbotech. The Orbotech, because of the way the tank sort of sits a little bit forward and down low, it actually is putting more weight down on the head. And I think that's why it's, at least without the weights, the Orbotech would definitely clean better. But when you put the weights on then to the Orbot, then of course that makes a difference. But then you sure feel those weights, even when you're just pushing it. I'm not saying it's hard to push. And in case you're wondering what I've got right here, I know some of you guys aren't familiar with this. This is the Orbotech Defender. Don't think they sold them all that long. It's basically, it's just an orbital machine, wheels down orbital machine without a tank. So, and of course, back to the Orbot, you can easily pull this whole mechanism off of here, the mechanism that holds the jug and even the pump. It all comes off, so you can run this machine without a tank, without a spray system, and you'd probably drop about 10 pounds or so. So I know there's some guys that are doing it that way. But anyway, that's kind of the upshot of why I do prefer the Rotary. I just find it works in residential. I think it's a better choice. The maneuverability, the reliability, the fact you can buy them for less money, and you can buy. There's what is it, the end cap store. They're selling a really nice Koblenz 13-inch for about $1,000, I think. I think it's a little bit less, and it's 61 pounds. I mean, that's an excellent machine for residential work. There's also Pacific Floor machines. They sell a 2-speed. I think that's quite a bit more, maybe 1,500. I'm not positive, but it's a 2-speed. It's 77 pounds, and it's a 17-inch. So the thing is that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get into a Rotary, and if you're thinking about going either direction, just bear in mind that the orbital machines aren't actually a better cleaning machine. And I know that there's lots of guys out there who maybe they started with Rotary and went to an OP, and a lot of us guys out there, I know there's lots of you out there that have gone back to Rotary, and you know why. Not that there's nothing wrong with OP. I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying for residential, I think this is a better choice. The other thing is, of course, with an OP, you can't get that vibration that's going on certain carpets and in certain houses, and of course, then there's that once in a while you want to run across one of those carpets, the especially the heavy lugged Berber carpets, where the machine just fights you the whole time. Especially the wheels up machines like the Challenger, and I guess Trinity's making a couple of wheels up machines again. But most people would choose the wheels down because they're easier to handle, I guess you could say. And that's why most manufacturers went away from the wheels up machines, because they can be a little bit challenging on some carpets for sure. But anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to I've just been thinking about it, been reading some comments and watching a couple other guys' videos on the Rotaries and seeing some of the comments from people on watching people using their Rotaries. And of course, Paul at Washington Pro Carpet Cleaning, if you haven't watched his videos, he recently purchased the Koblenz 13-inch machine, and he's really enjoying it and finding it cleans really well and exploring its abilities, and they're just it's just an excellent way to go. It's simple, reliable, inexpensive, easy on your body physically, and you have to remember over the time there's you don't want to use something that's going to wear you out too much, because well, we don't last forever. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Rotary versus OP, and of course, if you've been watching my videos, you know I've been promoting the use of the Rotary for a long time, and I think I'm pretty much one of the only guys on YouTube that's doing that. But if you're looking at Rotary or OP and you're wanting to learn how to really clean the carpet with a Rotary, my channel does have, I think I've got over 200 videos there now, and they're there to help anyone who wants to learn. You kind of ride along with me, and I kind of jabber away, tell you what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and I've been doing this now 26 years, and we are the #1 carpet cleaning company in our area. We do not have sales or specials. I'm busy all the time. I turn away work, quite frankly. I just can't get to it fast enough, and we have an excellent reputation for really high quality carpet cleaning, and So I do recommend that you at least consider a rotary if your budget doesn't allow you to go to, because these machines are they about $4,000 an hour or so in the U.S. That's a fair amount of money, whereas you can get into a rotary for $1,000. So, especially if you're starting off, just my point is, don't feel embarrassed that, oh, I'm only using a rotary, and when I can really afford a real proper carpet cleaning machine, I'll get an OP. Don't even. That's just not even something to consider, because here I am. I've got rotaries. I use them all day, every day. I have an OP. I can buy any OP I want anytime I want, and I don't, because I don't need to. I don't want to. There's no advantage. There's no reason. So that's my thoughts, and I guess I'll sign off, and hope you all have a really good day. Take care.